Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. And as you can see with the design on your screen, today's video is going to be very simple. It's just a simple portfolio website with your name in the middle and whatever role that you specialize in, with a nice looking hamburger icon to the top right and some social media icons at the bottom. Now this is not going to be the only page on this application. We're going to have some other pages. We're going to have the portfolio page, the projects. Actually, you know what? We're going to have the home page and then the projects page and then the contacts. We're not going to have the portfolio. And another thing that we're going to change in this design is that we're not going to have these icons here, just because I think that having them at the bottom here and then also having them when this menu opens, meaning they'll appear right around here, would be just a bit repetitive and it doesn't really serve any real purpose. Okay, so I think that is going to be the intro for our application today. And remember, I've mentioned that we're going to be building it using ReactJs. So to get started, you'll have to say npx create React app and then the name of your application. And what I mean is you'll have to say npx create React app, which is going to bootstrap your React application, and then the name of your application, whatever you want it to be. I've just decided to call mine portfolio design. And then once you're finished, if you scroll down to the bottom, scroll down to here, then it will finish canvassing your React application right around there. And then what I've done is just open Visual Studio Code into that folder that is created by React called portfolio design. So that's basically what this command is. And then once we do that, then I can close this down. And I've just remembered to mention that if you're doing npx and nothing is working, it's because you don't have Node.js installed. So you'd have to go to nodejs.org and then download the long-term support version, and then you should have npx installed as well. Okay, so now I can close this down, and then I can now open Visual Studio Code right around there. Now when you open this in Visual Studio Code, everything, the file structure inside here is going to be the same. The only difference is that you will not have this showcase.jpg file. I downloaded this from pexels.com and I'm going to use it as our background image. So what you can do is you can head over to pexels.com and then search for ocean, and then you should find this picture right there, or you can use a similar picture. Remember, I'm not tying anyone down to always use this picture. You can use it, you can use whatever picture that you want. Okay, and then immediately what I want to do is I want to install the dependencies that we're going to use. And I know that one dependency that we're going to use is React Router DOM, which will handle our routing, right? So I'm going to say npm install react-router-dom. And then I also want to install another dependency called React Icons, which will handle our hamburger icon right here, as well as our social media icons right there. So I'm going to say react-icons-save. Okay, and then finally I want to install a final dependency called UUID, because on our projects page, right, on our projects page, we're going to have a grid of the projects that we've done, right? And because I don't want to hard code all that data, then I want to create some kind of data array that I'm going to fetch and then display it on the screen. So in order to get that data array, then I would need to have some unique values, and I don't want to hard code IDs as well. So I'm going to install a package called UUID, which is going to generate unique IDs for my application. Okay, so just run all that. And then once it finishes installing, then I can go ahead and run npm start, which should start our development server. Okay, so those two are finished installing, or rather our dependencies have finished installing. So what I want to do now is just run npm start, which will spin up our development server, and then we can begin our development process. Okay, now as this spins up, what I want to do is, let me just close this. I want to clean up a bit. I want to just delete this app CSS. I think it's the only file that we're going to delete. And then inside app.js, I'm going to remove this because we have deleted it. Okay, actually I'm going to remove this as well. And then I'm going to remove this div with the class of app. Just remove all of it and then return a React fragment. And then once we return a React fragment, then what I want to do is just return an h1 that says, what is it? Just my name, just to see what renders on the screen. And then before I forget, I want to change this into an arrow function, so I'm going to say const up equals to brackets and then place my arrow right there. Now this will just transform it into an arrow function. Okay, now at the top, because we're going to set up React Router, I just want to import everything right away, so I'm going to say import and then place my curly brackets, and I'm going to import browser router, and then I'm also going to import route, and then I'm also going to import switch, and all of these will be coming from react router DOM, like so. Okay, so that's almost correct. But then what I want to do is, when you're setting up React Router, you need to wrap your entire application inside the router. You can import this as router like this, or you can just use it as browser router as it is, like so. So I'm just going to copy this, paste it inside here, and it will change this tag as well. And this tag, you'll notice how I changed this top tag and then the bottom tag also changed. That is possible by an extension called auto rename tag. If you want to use it, it's very, very handy, because all you have to do is just change one tag and it will also automatically change the end tag as well. Now once we do that, you can see that our application is still spinning up. It takes a while sometimes, so I'm just going to place it to the side like so. Okay, and then I've just noticed that probably I shouldn't render this inside here, but let's get right away to development. And inside my source folder, I'm going to create a new folder called components. Oops, misspelled that one. Components, like so. And you can see it throws us this error because we haven't saved this file. I don't want to save this file yet. And then inside our components folder, I want to create a showcase.js, or rather, not showcase, but homepage.js, like so. And then I'm just going to cut this out from here. Okay, and then inside homepage, I'm going to say underscore RAFCE, and I'm saying underscore because I don't want to import React at the top because it's no longer necessary. And then wait, what am I doing? Right, inside here, I'm going to return a fragment once again, and then just paste in my h1 like we did in the app.js. So I'm going to save this. Okay, and then right inside here, I just want to render out my component called homepage, like so. And you can see it gives me the option to auto import it. As you can see, it auto imports it at the top, so that when I save this, then we should see something on the screen. And we see this, so our application is running correctly. Okay, now before we go any further, I just want to create our routes. Okay, I just want to create our routes because I tend to forget to do that. Now the first thing that I want to do is, of course, render out the route component like so, right? And then inside this route component, this is going to take in a path prop, and the path for this is going to be whatever you want to be rendered in the address bar, right? So for example, I can say something here, something dash here. Okay, and then I just want to say inside here, what component would I like to render, and I just want to render the home page. So I'm just going to bring this down like so, so that when I save this, notice what happens. If I go to something dash here, then we should see this. Okay, but I don't want this URL to be present, right? I don't want that URL to be present, so I'm just going to render the / right away. Okay, and then I want to render another route here. The path for this will be going to / projects, like so. And then of course I'm going to be rendering the projects component that I don't have. Actually, I'm going to place this inside a pages folder, so let me create that right away. Inside my source folder, I'm going to create a new folder called pages, like so. And then this pages is going to have a projects.js, like so. And then I'm going to say underscore RAFCE, and then inside here return an h1 that says projects page, and of course change this div into a React fragment, like so, so that when I now import this from sources pages, then it should be correct. And then let me just place a comment here that says this is pages, right? And then a comment at the top as well that says this is components, like so, though technically this is also a page. Okay, so let me save this, right? Let me save this, and then let me go back to my home page, change this address go back to forward slash, like so that we should have this on the screen. Now, one thing that you will notice is that if I try to go to forward slash projects inside here, notice what happens. We get the home page, but we also get the projects page. Now, we don't want this to happen. That is not a good user experience, right? So React Router DOM gives us access to another prop called exact. And what this exact means is that it will only render this component or whatever components that you're going to list inside this path, inside this route. It will only render them when the path in the address bar is only the forward slash. Okay, so once I save this, then notice what happens. Now our homepage is no longer rendered, but our projects page is now rendered. Okay, and the reason why that happens, the reason why the homepage is rendering and the projects is also rendering, is because technically, according to React Router DOM, technically this forward slash also matches the forward slash projects. So this makes sure that only this one matches, and then this one will display, and then this one doesn't display. So I'm going to save this, and then now all I want to do is just go back to, of course, my home page, like so. Okay, and then another thing that I want to do is I want to set up an error page, right? So I'm going to render another route. The path for this is going to be an asterisk. Okay, and then I'm going to explain that in a moment. And then the component of the page that I would like to render is going to be called error, like so. And then this error is also going to be coming from pages folder, so I'm going to create a new file called error.js, like so. Then I'm going to say underscore array_fce. Okay, and then inside here we're going to say what should I say, an h1 that says error 404 page not found, like so. Okay, so let me import this in our app.js, import this from pages / error. And then once I save this, notice something else, that even though we are on a path that exists, right, we are on the home page, but then the error 404 page still renders, right? Now we do not want that to happen, because once again it's a terrible user experience. So how do we fix that? We don't fix that by adding exact here. Instead, remember that we imported something at the top called switch. So what we need to do is grab everything inside our route like that, just cut it out, and then render the switch component first, like so, and then just paste them inside here. Okay, and that's looking amazing. Now what this switch does, it's very interesting, because what this switch does, it will look for the first path that matches, and then it will render that path. Okay, so that when I save this, notice what happens. Because this is the first path that matches, then the home page is rendered. Okay, that's very interesting, and that's how we can deal with this, so that we no longer see this error page on our other pages or on our home page. But if I try to go to / something else, then notice we have our error page. And basically what this asterisk means is that the path will always match. It will always match. That's why you saw that even though we were on a path that exists, it was still rendering our error page, because the asterisk means it always matches. Okay, so I think once we do that, then we are ready to begin. We're not going to be using Tailwind CSS for this. We're going to be struggling with our own vanilla CSS, which is going to be quite a hassle, I think. But you know, it's good to refresh sometimes. So once we do that, then let's go into our homepage, and then let's begin building it out. So inside here, I'm going to return a section, and then this section is going to have an h1 that says, of course, my name. Why did I even delete it? Right? And then below this, I'm going to have a paragraph that says front-end web developer, like so. And then below this, I'm going to have an ordered list with 2 list items, like so. And then these list items are going to have anchor tags. Okay, so these 2 list items are going to have anchor tags because they're going to be going to external sites, right? The first one is going to be going to https twitter.com/tsb Sankara, which is my Twitter handle. And then we're going to be rendering a component here. That's correct. We're going to be rendering a component here, which is going to be the icon for Twitter. And I'm calling it a component because it is a React component, even though you know that it is an icon. And we're going to place that in a moment. So this second one is going to https /github.com/ what's my GitHub handle? it's St. Thomas. Yeah, forgot that for a moment. Now the first link inside here is going to be going to Twitter, right? So we need to render an icon called FA Twitter, which is coming from Font Awesome. And then the second one is going to GitHub, so we need to render FA GitHub, which is also coming from Font Awesome. And then we need to import this at the top, right? So at the top, we just need to render the two icons to import the two icons, sorry. So I'm going to import them as FA Twitter, like so, and the FA GitHub, like so. And then these are coming from React-icons. Remember, we installed it, and they are coming from the Font Awesome library. Okay, so once I save this, then the final thing that I want to do is just grab all of this, and then set them inside a div with a class of overlay, like so. And then give this section a class name of home page, like so, and save that. And we should see something on the screen. And we have that. Would you look at that? So we have our h1, and then we have our div, or our paragraph saying front-end web developer, and then we have our two icons, which when I click on them, they should take me to Twitter and GitHub respectively. But then one thing that I want to do is when I click on them, I want them to open up on a new page. So I'm just going to add something here. Okay, I'm going to add two cursors right there, and I'm going to say target equals to _blank with a rel of no opener and no referrer. Now, when you're opening any links on a new page, right, which is basically target /_blank, sorry, not / but target equals to _blank, then you always need to add these two items, the rel equals to no opener and no referrer. And that's necessary because when you open on a new page, then that new page will get access to the window.opener objects, .opener object, which means that someone on the other end can execute cross-site scripting attacks on your website or on whatever website that the new page was opened on. So this attribute of rel equals to no opener and no referrer prevents that. So it's very necessary. Okay, so I'm just going to save this and I'm going to test it out that it indeed works. And we have my GitHub, and here we have my Twitter. That's looking fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to place this back to the side and we can begin styling this out right away. Okay, so I'm going to go into my index CSS and I'm going to remove all of this. Actually, we don't need it. And I've just remembered that we need to import a font called, what was it called? It's called, what font did I use? Manrop. We used a font called Manrop, so I need to import that font as well. Okay, so before I do that, let me just reset everything. So I'm going to set the margin to 0, reset the padding to 0, and set the box sizing to border box, like so. And then I don't want the bullets on my list items right there, so I'm going to say list style type, set this to none. And then for links, all I want to do is just say text decoration none. And then I'm going to say the color for this should be white, right? That's correct. Yeah, that is indeed correct. And then once we have the color of white, then what I want to do is what else do I want to do? I want to target my images, and I want my images to have a max width of 100% so that they don't overflow. So once I save this, then everything should reset like so. So that's looking nice. And our links disappear because of this. Okay, so don't worry about that. We're going to see it in a moment. So let me head over to fonts.google.com so that we can get our font called Manrop, and then just search for Manrop like so. Grab this, and then we're going to grab the regular 400 and the bold 800 right there. And then I'm going to grab this link tag, copy this, and then go inside my public folder, and then inside my index.html right there, and right below this I'm going to paste this in without this backslash, and then remove these comments. Okay, remove these comments as well, and then remove these comments. Okay, and then let's change this title to say what? You can place your name inside here, it doesn't matter, that's okay. And I'm going to say what we say, looking for front roll, like so. That's looking nice. and then I'm just going to copy this and then change this description inside here as well. So paste this in. That's looking fantastic. And then I hope I remember to change this theme color. I always forget. Okay, now that we have manrope imported inside here, what I want to do is go back into my index CSS, and then right at the bottom here I'm going to add body, and I'm going to set the body to a font family of manrope, like so, and then with the fallback of sans serif, right? And then right at the top, actually not at the top really, but I'm going to grab this, just cut it out, paste it here, and then I'm also going to set a font family property, font family, and set this to inherit. And what this will do is that it will check whatever font family is on the body, and then it will place it on the anchor tags as well. And then I also want to set it on, where are we going to add buttons? I don't think we're going to add buttons, so that's not really necessary. And then finally, once we do this, I can remove this. I want to set up some variables, right? First of all, I want to set up a, remember that we have a linear gradient on our background right here. Notice that this is a linear gradient. It starts with green or whatever this color is, and then it goes to somehow like transparent black to the end right here. So I'm going to give this variable a name of background image, like so, and then we're going to set it to linear gradient, linear-gradient, like so, and then a linear gradient, we're going to set it to 120 degrees. And for the colors, I'm going to get the colors in a moment, but then also want to add something else. I'm going to say what do I want to do? I can't remember. I actually can't remember. That's interesting. Okay, so let's grab our background image inside here. Let's grab our colors. I'm just going to go inside here. Don't worry about this, you can just copy the colors once I get them. Okay, so let me grab the CSS, just copy this and paste it inside here, and then grab this second color, copy this and paste it inside here, and remember to add a bracket and place my semicolon. So this is going to be our background image, and I've just noted that probably I should set this first one to be a hex value so that it's just easier to see. So let me grab the hex value from here, copy this and paste it inside here. That should be much better with a hashtag beginning, like so. Okay, so this is going to be a background image, and I've forgotten the other variables that I wanted to place inside here, but I think they're going to just come back to me as we continue. Now what we want to do is, once I save this, then remember that we have our home page inside here, and then we also have a div with the class of overlay. Right at the bottom, I just want to place a comment here and say home page, because we're going to have one CSS file for everything. So I want to say home page and set this to a background, set this to URL, like so, with a // coming from showcase.jpg, right? And then once I do that, I want to set the background repeat to no repeat, then set the background dash size to cover, right? And then set the background position, set this to center, like so. And then also want to set the height to 100 viewport heights. So save this, and let's see what we have in our application. Close this, and we should have this. Look at that, looking amazing already. And then remember that we have our overlay class as well inside the homepage. So I want to say homepage and target the overlay as well. And then I'm going to say background dash, is it background color or background image? Background color, set this to our variable, which is background image. Let's see how this looks. Nothing, so I should set this to background image as well, like so. And then set this to display flex, align item center, and justify content to the center, and then set the mean height, so mean height of this to be 100 viewport heights as well, so that it goes to the center as well. And then change this, of course, to a flex direction column. So flex dash direction, set this to column, so that we have this. Look at that, looking amazing. Now you can play around with the values just a bit so that you can add a bit more transparency, and that's very easy enough to do. You can just change this, or you can go inside here and add an alpha value to it, and you can add an alpha value to it by just saying, for example, 0.5, which will add an alpha value to it, as you can see, looking nice. But I like it as it is, so let me say 0.9. Let's see how 0.9 looks. Look at that, 0.8 as well. Look at that, looking fantastic. Probably I should leave it like this, but I don't want to, so that we have that. Okay, looking amazing. Okay, so once we do that, then what I want to do next is just style this to be looking a bit better, to look just a bit better. Okay, so we have an h1 inside the overlay, so I'm just going to copy this and okay, so once you do that, then I want to set the font size inside here to 96 pixels. Very massive, as you can see. Probably inside here I should set the text color to white, like so, and then target this paragraph next. So copy this, paste it below this, target the paragraph, set the font size of the paragraph to a half of our h1, so which is 48 pixels, like so. That's too big, let's set it to 36 pixels, like so. Look at that, looking amazing. And then the next thing that we need to do is just target our icons below this. So remember that inside our overlay class we also have a UL, like so. Okay, and then inside this UL I can just say display flex, align them center, and just flex it to the center, which will do that. And then target the list items. Okay, so next I just want to target the list items, like so. And then for this list items, I just want to say set a margin of 0 on the top and bottom and 20 pixels on the left and right, which will separate them out. And then go back to this UL and just say margin top, set this to 30 pixels. Look at that, looking amazing. And then finally, I can now target the anchor tags, because the anchor tags are what house our icons, so that I can increase the font size of this to around 46 pixels. And would you look at that, that's looking amazing. That is really looking amazing. You can add an animation to this so that when you hover over them they kind of blink a bit, or they can bounce a bit, but I don't want to do that. I just leave that to you. Now once we have our home page, what I want to do is now render our what's it called, our hamburger menu, right? So I'm going to close this home page, right? And then I'm going to go inside my components folder. Let me close this. And inside my components folder, I'm going to create a new file called menu.js, like so. And then I'm going to say _RAFCE, right, for our menu, and then return a fragment, of course, and then return a header inside here. And then this header is going to have a div with a class of menu-btn. And then this div with a class of menu-btn is going to have a button. And then this button is going to render an icon. What's the icon name? I've forgotten. Let's check it out. Let's check it out by just searching for menu, and we want, where's the icon? This icon right here. So we want this icon. Oops. And then this icon, I'm just going to paste it inside here first of all, and then import it at the top. So I'm going to say import, place my brackets like that, comes from react-icons / bootstrap icons. Is it bootstrap icons or box icons? That doesn't matter. Okay, and then once you do that, then I just want to show that this is rendering. So I want to go back into my app.js, and then I want to render it inside my homepage. And remember, this is something that I'm doing on purpose. I want to render menu inside my my / route, like so. And notice how it gives me the option to auto import it right there. So I'm going to actually need this to come down, correct? So save this, and we should see something on the screen. Does it? Okay, there we go. So our menu appears right there. But notice something. If I try to go to / projects, notice that our menu now doesn't appear, okay? And that's because I've only rendered it to show into the / route. So what I need to do is just grab this menu and place it outside of our switch. Remember, it is outside of our switch, okay? So that now it will show on every single page or every single route that we have. If I try to place it inside the switch, then notice what happens, nothing will display. Okay, nothing displays. Even if I go to the home page, nothing will display, only the menu. So make sure that you are always outside the switch, like so. And then the next thing that I want to do is go back into my menu. Okay, so once you go inside my menu, go back inside the menu, then I want to go outside this div and then create a navbar inside here with an ordered list, right? With how many list items? Let's say 3 list items times 3. And then all these list items are going to have a link. Now this link is unique to React Router DOM. It is not part of React, okay? So this link is going to be going to /. It's basically like an anchor tag, okay? So I want the first link to go to the /, which is going to be the homepage. So the text is going to say homepage. And then the second one will go to /projects. And this is going to be projects page, like so. And then this is going to be going to /contacts, or rather contact-me. And this is going to be contact me, like so. And I've just remembered that we have not created this route, but that's okay. And remember that we need to import this from React Router DOM. So I'm going to say import, place my bracket, import link from react-router-dom, and place that to the top, so that when I save this, then we should see this on the screen. But remember that our links are all white in color. And then once we do that, then the next thing I want to do is wait, what's this? This shouldn't be here, this should be here, like so. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is just create this route before I forget. So I'm going to go back into app.js, and then below the projects I'm going to render route, and this path is going to be going to /contact-me. Okay, close this, and then just render the contacts component of the contacts page that I need to create. So inside my pages folder I'm going to create contacts.js, like so, and then say _array-fce, return a fragment with an h1 that says contacts page, like so. So that when I save this, then everything should be okay, but it's not okay because I've not imported this at the top, like so. And we should now see something on the screen, and that's okay. If I try to go to project, this is project, this is contact me, should be here. Oh wait a minute, this is /contact me, this is /. There we go. Okay, that's looking fantastic. So let's go back to our homepage, and then let's begin to style this out. Okay, now inside our index.css, I just want to go back to the top of our homepage and then create the header comment right there. And then I want to target the header. Did I give it a class of header? Nope. Let me give this a class name of header, like so. And then inside the class of header, I can now target it and just say display, sorry, not display, but position absolute, and then I want it to the right of 0. Okay, and then I want the height to be 100%. Will that work? Let's add a background color. Oh, I've remembered my other variable. I wanted the background color, background overlay, sorry. So background-overlay, set this to RGBA 0000.4, like so. And then go back inside here and then set the background-color to background overlay, like so. So 100% means it will take up 100% of the height that it is placed in, which is technically the body. And then once we do that, then I want this header to have a fixed width, so I'm going to set this width to around 300 pixels. No, not 300 pixels. Let's say 200 pixels. 300 is too big. Let me place this to the side, like so, so that we can just see it as we style it and we don't have to keep on switching screens. And then once we have the header, then I want to target the header and then the nav, which is technically our nav bar. So for the header nav, for the header nav and the unordered list inside, then on say display flex, align into center and justify content the center with a flex dash direction of column, right? And a mean height of 100 viewport heights. Okay, so mean height of 100 viewport heights is what puts it to the center. And notice how it has introduced a scroll bar. I don't want this scroll bar to appear, right? Okay, so I don't want this scroll bar to appear. So what I'm going to do is go back to the body, and on the body I'm going to say overflow and say overflow hidden. which means the overflow X or the Y. So the overflow on the horizontal axis or on the Y axis should be hidden, and it should disappear just like that, so that we don't have any overflow no matter the axis that we're on. And then all I want to do is just now bring this button to the center, right? So let's see, I have the header nav, so I just want to target the header and the dot menu dash btn class like so, and then say position this as absolute like so, and then let's say position to the right by 30 pixels. Where would that take it? Then what happens if I say position to the right by 50%? It should go to the center. Okay, that's correct, that's correct. And then let's say transform translate translate right is what? Right is on the x-axis. Yes, on the x-axis, really, on the x-axis like so, by minus 50%, which should now send it perfectly or not. Let's do this. Transform, let's say left 50%. Okay, and then transform and translate on the x-axis by minus 50%. There we go. And then let's say margin dash top, set this to around 50 pixels. Okay, that's looking nice. And then now let's target the button inside. So grab this, target the button inside, and I'm going to say background color, set this to transparent. Okay, set the font size to 36 pixels, set the color of the icon to white, right, and then remove the border on the button, so border none. Okay, so let's save this, let's see what we have, and we have this. Okay, and then let's add a cursor pointer like so that we have a cursor pointer when we are clicking on it. Now what we need to happen is, I've just noticed that I've made a mistake somewhere. Because the mistake that I've made is that I don't want this header to appear by default, because the header contains all of this, right? It contains all of this. So what I want to do is I want to move this menu button outside of the header, right? I want to move it outside of the header so that it is independent of this header, so that it always shows no matter whether the header is showing or not. So let's do that right away by just grabbing this and moving it upwards one step like so, and it will just misbehave just a bit, but that's okay. And then what I want to do is just grab this and this as well, just cut them out, and then grab all of this and move it above the header right there. Place a comment saying menu button like so, and then change this. Now I can change this to right by, let's say right by 50 pixels. We should take it back right there. Let's say right by 100 pixels. Wait, what's the width of this? What's the width of this header? It has a width of 200 pixels. So let me set it to the right by around 80 pixels. That's about the center of it. And then once we do that, then as you can see, it's now below the header, which I don't want. It's now below the header, so I wanted to bring it to always be above the header. So I'm going to set a z index here of 999 or whatever that number is, an insanely high number, so that it is always at the top no matter what. Okay, and then once we do that, then notice that now we can click on it and it's no longer dependent on the header. And now the reason why I wanted it to be independent of the header is because I only want this header to render under specific conditions, because that's the purpose of this hamburger icon, right? Now, what is that condition? First of all, let me go back inside my CSS and then target this header. So I'm just going to copy it, and then I'm going to add a class on the header, right? I'm going to add a class of open like so, and then this class of open, I'm going to say when the header has a class of open, then I want the height to be 100 viewport heights and the background color to be the transparent black that we see here. Okay, and then so in order to hide all of this, all I can say is just say height height, set this to 0, right? And then I can say overflow, set this to hidden, like so. And would you look at that? Now to test it right away, I can go back into my menu inside here, and on the header I can just add a class of open, and we can see the header. Look at that, looking amazing. Now let me add a transition on it. Let me add a transition here, and I can just say transition all the properties by 0.5 seconds and say is in out, like so. And what do I need to do? Probably something, a better animation would be to, let me see, open here. Okay, would you look at, that's looking nice, that's looking nice, that is looking nice. Okay, so we don't need to add anything else. So now what I want to do is I want to go into my menu.js, which is this file right here, and then I want to set up my state values, which is going to control whether the header is open or closed. So at the top inside here, I'm going to say import use state, and this is coming from React, like so. And then set up my state value. So I'm going to say const is open and set is open, and then this is going to pass in use state, and it's going to be false by default. What this is that this is a function and this is a state value, and this function controls how we access this state value or how this state value is changed. And this state value is whatever is passing inside here, which is a boolean value for now, and it's set to false by default. Okay, so you can also pass in numbers, you can pass in objects, you can pass in arrays inside here, and it will populate your state value inside here. Okay, now what I want to do is, because this is just some basic toggling in React, what I want to do is grab the header tag, so everything inside here, just cut it out, and then I'm going to say place some brackets inside here, and I'm going to say is open, right? And I'm going to place a truthy and, like so, and then paste in the header. And what this means is that check for whether is open is set to true, because this is what this double ampersand means. It's a truthy and it only displays when both values are true. So when is open is true, that's when the header is going to be displayed. When it is false, then it's not going to show the header, right? And then we need some way to toggle it by clicking on the button. So on the button, I'm going to say on click, right? Notice that this is comment case, and then I'm going to place it in my curly brackets and pass in my inline arrow function, like so, and then target our function that is controlling our state value, and I'm going to say set is open to the opposite of whatever is open is currently set to, right? So this means is that if it is set to false, then turn it to true, and if it's set to true, then turn it to false. So I'm going to save this, and this should work. Let's see. Is this working? Is that working? Set is open, and it is not working because of this. It is not working because of this. Okay, so let me comment this out, and let me just copy this and paste it inside here. Paste it inside here. Okay, and there we go. Look at that. Okay, so that's looking amazing. So that's a simple way that you can toggle it. But the only problem with this is that even though it works, it doesn't really work, you know, because you'll want to have some kind of animation, because this is a portfolio website. You want to show people that you know how to do things, so you'd want some kind of animation, some smooth animation, right? So let me just Control Z just to undo everything inside here, and then save this once again, and this should not work. Right now we want to look for a way to pass in our class name of open here, which is going to be toggling the height to 100 viewport heights, and which will also trigger the animation. We want to find a way to add it inside our JSX so that it actually works. So the first thing that we're going to do is just remove this. First of all, remove this like so, and save everything. And then the next thing that we're going to do is right inside here, I'm going to remove this. First of all, I'm going to remove this, and then I'm going to place curly brackets and then backticks, which are template literals in JavaScript, because they allow us to place in variables without having to add plus something. And we can do that by just adding a $sign, and of course placing another other curly brackets, and then our variable inside here is called is open, right? So is open, like so. So inside here, what we want to do is we are saying when is open is true, so we are using the ternary operator, and we're saying that when is open is true, then we want to pass in the class of header like so, and then we also want to pass in the class of open when it is true. And then where am I? This is confusing me. And then when it is false, so that's a column, then just pass in the class of header like so, right? So when is open is true, that's what this question mark means. It is checking for whether is open is true, then it is going to add the class of header and open on the header. And then when it is false, it's only going to remove the open class and it's going to pass in the header class. And that's basically what we're going to be doing when we click on this, whether it's true or false. So that when I save this, then notice this. Oh, look at that. Look at that. That's looking amazing, right? It's looking amazing. So once I save that, then I've just noticed something else, that I want to space out these links just a bit. So let me go back into my CSS, and right inside here, I'm going to copy this, paste it down, and target the list items, and I'm going to see margin of 0 on the top and bottom. Margin of let's say 20 pixels on the top and bottom, and 0 on the left and right. So that we have this. That's looking much better. Now, one thing that you have probably noticed if you have paused the video and looked ahead is that if you try to click this, it will go to the home page, of course, right? And if you try to click on projects, notice that you do go to the projects page, but this still remains open, which is not really what we want. We want that when you click on a link, then this should go away and it should disappear, right? So how do we fix that? Now we are going to encounter another problem, just to let you know, okay? So right inside here, inside this list item, I'm going to grab this list item and I'm going to say on click, right? So when you click on the first list item, which is the home page, then I want to pass in an inline function once again, like so. And then I'm going to say set is open back to false, right? And what that means, of course, is that when you click on the link, then set is open to false, which will change this to false, and which will apply this class here, and which will remove this, okay? So that when I save this and just try it out, just to show you, if I click on home page, then it should disappear. Look at that. Notice that it should disappear. But the gotcha here is that if you try to click on projects, it doesn't disappear, right? And I did this on purpose because I wanted to show you that in order for this to work everywhere, then you'd have to copy this and then paste it inside here and then paste it inside here. Look at that, okay? So that if you try to click this, notice now it disappears. Go to contact page, now it disappears, right? But then again, if you have multiple, say for example you had other links like what on a portfolio, about me, something else, if you had many links, then doing this now becomes tiresome, okay? So what is the solution to that? The solution would be to set up some kind of data array, right? So let's actually just do that. I can just go into my source folder. Okay, close this. I can go into my source folder, create a new folder called data, like so. And then inside this data folder, I'm going to create maybe like navbar.js, like so. And then remember that we installed UUID. So I'm just going to say import v4 as UUID v4 from UUID. That's how you use it, okay? This is how you use it. This is how you import UUID, which you installed. And I'm going to say export const, and I'm just going to call it navbar. Give it a named export. Paste this into an array of objects. And in order to invoke this to generate unique IDs, all you just have to do is just say UUID v4, and then just invoke it. And then say, for example, the title for this is going to be homepage, right? Homepage, and then the URL is going to be is going to be / like so. And then I'm just going to copy this down to make it faster, so 1 2, and then this second one is going to be projects, and it's going to be, the URL is going to be / projects, like so. And then this third one is going to be what is the title? Contact me. And then this is going to be contact-me. That's these URLs are the ones that we created in our app.js. So I'm going to save this and then go back into my menu, and then we are going to need to refactor some things. We're going to just remove all of this. We're going to remove all the list items, right? Just remove them like so. And then inside here, what we need to do is we are going to set up some other state values. Now the other state values that we're going to set are for fetching our data. So I'm going to say const, let me say links, and set links, and this is equal to use state, and by default we're going to pass in the data that we have just created, which is called navbar, like so. And you can see it gives me the option to auto import it, but if it doesn't give you the option to auto import it, then you just need to import it at the top like this. And remember that because it is a named export, it is a named export, as you can tell by export const, it's not a default export, then you would have to have curly brackets, and that's why you also have all these other curly brackets, because they are named exports. Okay, so import navbar from /data/navbar, which I've just created, and which will populate this. And like I said, once you pass in the value inside here, then it populates this your initial state value, so that I can go inside this UL and just place my curly brackets like so, and then say links.map. And what actually I don't think I mentioned this is that when you place curly brackets inside here, it just means that you are going back to JavaScript. So you are no longer in like HTML or something, but you're just going back to JavaScript so that you can use some JavaScript syntax inside your JSX. So I'm going to say links.map. For example, map is a JavaScript method that works on arrays, but then you can't really use it. You can't really use it like this, links.map. Right, you can't really use it like this because it's not JavaScript. So placing the curly brackets is important. So links.map like so, and then plus my brackets like so, and then right away, because I want to destructure it, let me show you 3 ways that you can destructure everything. So I'm going to say for every link, then I want to pass in like this, and I'm going to say const, and then destructure the ID, the title, and the URL, which is what we have in our data array, and this will be coming from link like so. And then I want to set up my return, right, and I'm going to be returning list item with the key of ID like so. And then inside this list item, I'm going to be rendering a link, and remember the link has a to prop that goes to this is going to URL like so, and then the text for this is going to say title like so. And once I save this, that notice that nothing is going to change. It's still going to show the very same thing. It's going to show the very same thing. But then notice that we removed some functionality, right? Because we removed the functionality where when you click on a link here, it doesn't disappear. But I did that on purpose so that I can show you that in order to add it, you only have to add it once now. So I can say on click equals to placing my inline function like so, and say set is open to the to false like so. Set it to false. Now notice that I've only written it once, right? But now notice, if I go to home page, it will disappear. If I go to the projects page, it disappears. If I go to the contact me page, it also disappears. Would you look at that? And we only need to add it once. So we ran into a problem, and now we have fixed it. Now something else that I wanted to show you is that this is one way to destructure it, right? But if you're not feeling up to this, what you can do is you can just cut this out from here, right? Just cut it out from here, and then go inside here, inside this first link, and then just paste it in, and then you can comment this out if you want. But this basically means the very same thing. It means just go into the links data array that you have, and then map over it, which returns an array, and then it says ID title, destructure the ID, destructure the title, and destructure the URL, and then we're just setting up our return immediately, and we have this. So once I save this, then nothing changes because it's still the same thing. Okay, and another way that you can do it is it's a bit longer, but then it's better to know multiple ways. Another way that you can do it is you can say for every link like so, then you can just set up your return immediately. But then the thing is, for everything that you're going to be it's just like object notation. It's called object notation because every time you want to access a property inside an object, then you have to go inside the property first, inside the object first, and then the property, right? So the new object that you have created here is called the link, and we want to access the ID value inside the link. So I can just say link.id, and then here I can say link.url, and then here I can say link.title, and that's basically it. And you know what? It's still the same thing, because as you can see, everything our functionality still works as we expect it to work. So this is looking amazing. And then once we do that, I think we are done with the home page, right? We are done with the home page now. And then now what I need to do is probably scale it down. I would probably have to scale it down first of all, because notice how it looks horrible on smaller screens. Now it looks horrible only because of the title, right? Only because of the title, because our header won't really change anything. Look at that. Our header even on smaller screens is going to display perfectly. Now what we need to do is go inside our index CSS, and then right at the bottom here I'm just going to say at media, and I'm going to say for a mean width of, let's start with 992 pixels. So not a mean width but a max width, because this is desktop first, so we are scaling it down. Then I want to target the home page, and then target the overlay, and then target the H1, and I'm going to say font size, reduce this to 64 pixels. Look at that. So when we're on a max width of 992 pixels, then it should reduce to 64 pixels right there. Look at that. Look at that. Okay. And then one thing that I want to do is just go back into this class at the top, the first where the first declaration is, and just right here I'm just going to say text align center. Text align center. I think this is the much better UI, because if I remove this, notice how this will go to the left, because I don't want that to happen. So I always want it to be at the center, like so. Okay, looking amazing. And then we need to scale it down further just a bit, and I can just copy this, paste it here, and say for a max width of 500 pixels, right? Then I want the H1 to be, let's say, 48 pixels. Let's look at that. Let's reduce it. Okay, so that's 500 pixels, and notice how the H1 is now 48 pixels, but that still looks a bit big. So what I'm going to do is reduce this 30 pixels. Okay, and then obviously now we want to deal with this right away, right? Because if we try to check it on bigger screens, it doesn't really affect the H1 all that much. It's still looking nice, but then on smaller screens, then I need to reduce this paragraph. So I'm just going to copy this, paste it here, and then target the paragraph and say the font size for this should be, what is the initial paragraph font size? I've forgotten. What is the initial? Let me reduce this to 24. That's too big for 500 pixels. I think that would be much better, but then I want to increase the margin between this H1 and the paragraph. So let me just say margin dash top and set this to around 20 pixels. Separate out just a bit from the H1, like so, and then probably reduce the font size of these icons as well. So let me remember where those are. There, just copy this, paste it inside here, target the UL, the LI, and then the anchor tags. Reduce the font size to 24 pixels as well. Okay, that's looking much better. And then finally what we need to do is just target this as well and move it to the side, just a bit more to the side. So because it comes before the home page, I'm just going to go above this, and I'm going to say .menu-btn, and I remember I set it to the right by 80 pixels, so let me set it to the right by 30 pixels, like so. That's looking much better, and it already looks like a mobile application. Now the next thing that we need to do is now go to the projects page. Now I don't want to do the projects page just yet, because I want it's just a bit more setup. I want to do the contacts page first of all, because it's basically going to be a big H1 that says just, you know, contact me, because I don't want to deal with forms right now. I honestly don't want to deal with a form. So I'm going to create a section inside here, right? Actually, you know what, let me create the H1. What am I doing? Let me create the H1 that just says contact me, like so. And then inside this section I'm going to have an ordered list with list items. How many list items? 2 of them, and the first one is going to be my phone, right? So I'm just going to say plus 254 plus, this is plus wait a minute, I should have an anchor tag first of all. And I'm going to show you why I'm adding that. And I'm going to say plus 254 and then say 0700123456. I don't want people to have my number, even though, you know, some people do. And then I'm going to say this second href is going to be tsbsankara@gmail.com. I had to. I'm sorry about that, guys, but I had to. Okay, so now the reason why I added this href is because I want that when you click on this number, then it is going to show you a pop-up, and which will ask you to call from whatever recent form that you connected to phone that you connected to Google, right? Or if you're on mobile screen, then when you click on this, then it will take you to the contact application on your phone. And we can do that by just saying tell, like so, and then saying 0700123456, which is basically the number that you want to be dialed anytime that you click on this. And then for this second, what you want to do is that when I click on it, it should open up your email application, right? So I'm going to say mail to, and then enter the email that you want it to go to. So I'm going to say tsbsankara@gmail.com, like so, and it should render something on the screen. But remember, these are anchor tags that you set to the color white by default, and these are what we have. Notice that these are now links. You notice that they have a cursor of pointer, which means they are links. Okay, now what do we need to do? What I want to do inside here is, let me give this section a class name of contacts, like so, very simple. And then let's go inside our index CSS, and right above our media queries, I'm going to place a comment that says contacts, like so. Target the contacts and target the UL inside the contacts, and I'm going to say display flex, align it on center, and justify control to the center, and then add a mean height of 100 viewport heights, which will place it in the center, like so. And then of course set the flex direction to column, et voila, and we have this. Right now, what do we need to happen? Probably I should change the background color of the contacts page, so I'm going to say for the contacts, like so, I'm going to add a background color, background dash color, set it to our linear gradient. Probably, let me see, it has background overlay, and this thing needs to be background image, like so, which will set it to our linear gradient. That's looking nice, that's looking amazing. But then I want this to be inside here as well, so I can go into my contacts inside here and then just drag it inside, like so. Look at that, looking very, very nice. Okay, and then let me target the H1. So inside here, I'm going to target the contacts and then target the H1, and I'm going to add a padding of 50 pixels all around, which will move it inwards. Right, I think 50 pixels is what padding did I have on this menu button? Can't remember. Margin top of 50 pixels, right? And then right of 80 pixels. So let me do that as well inside here, inside my contacts. So I'm going to say, let me say margin of 50 pixels on the top and bottom, and 80 pixels on the left and right, which should be, okay, you know what, this should be padding, right, which should be now on the same level as this. Okay, and then obviously change the text color to white of the H1 so that we have this. Look at that, looking amazing. So it kind of looks like a mobile application. And then notice how, because I moved this inwards and I pushed it downwards, then it also pushed this downwards. I don't want that to happen, and I'm just going to go inside here and reduce this to about 90 viewport heights, or rather 80 viewport heights, which will just push it upwards just a bit. Oops. Okay, so this introduces this because we're pushing it upwards. Now I don't want that to happen, so what I'm going to do is inside here I'm going to set this to height of 100 viewport heights, right? And would you look at that? But then again, this is not bothering me because it's not to the center. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this, remove all of this, and I'm going to say position absolute. Or something that I forgot to mention, you might have noticed that I'm using position absolute without placing position relative on anything. And that's because when you use position absolute on any element, it is always relative to the body of your application. It is always relative to the body. Okay, that's why I'm not using position relative on anything else, because it's always relative to the body. And as you can tell, this is it's always 100. I'm always using 100 viewport heights on everything, so it doesn't really matter all that much. Now once we do that, then I want to say position to the left by 50%, like so, and then position to the top by 50%, like so. And notice that it is not technically to the center, even though it is 50% and 50%. That's because the left of 50% begins right around here, right? It begins right, this is the center of the screen, and then a top of 50% begins right around here. So technically this text is set to the bottom right, but we don't want it to the bottom right. Instead we want it to the complete center, to the absolute center, right? So we can do that by just saying transform and say translate, and let's say -50 on the x-axis and -50 on the y-axis, like so, which will now take it back to the center perfectly, and that's looking amazing. Now of course we want this to be much bigger in size, so let me say the contacts ul li, and I'm going to say li and the anchor tags, right? And I'm going to say increase the font size to 30 pixels, like so, and then target these list items as well. Oops, target the list items like so, and then add a margin of 10 pixels on the top and bottom and 0 on the left and right, just to separate them out a bit. And then I've noticed that probably this will be good if they have some icons. So let me go back into the contacts page and then import the icons that I'm going to use. And I'm going to say import fa font and fa envelope. These are coming from react-icons/font awesome library, and then right inside here I want to render the fa font like so, because this is a React component, okay? And then inside where is it, inside here I want to render the fa envelope like so, so that we're going to have this looking nice. Let me add a space here, let me add a space like that. Okay, that's looking nice. Okay, so once we have this, then I obviously need to scale it down for smaller screens because I don't want this to happen once again. So what I'm going to do is right inside this li, probably I can just say text align center first of all. No, I don't want that. I don't want that to happen. So let me go inside here, let me go to around 500 pixels. Actually, let me copy this. Wait, I want to copy this first of all, and then just paste it below this and say that the font size should reduce to, let's say, 24 pixels. Let's say 18 pixels is fine for small screens, it's fine. And then that's basically it for our context page, because there's nothing much that we're going to do inside here. And then now we need to go to our projects page, right? Now our projects page is going to be a bit similar in terms of styling to our contactors page, but the only difference is going to be we're going to be showing our projects. So right inside here I'm going to cut this out, then I'm going to turn a section with a class of projects like so. Actually, you know what, let me see if I can add a class of contacts here as well, so that it takes the class of the styling of the contacts page. And then inside here I'm going to render my h1 like so. Let me see what happens. So we have projects page inside here, okay? And then now something different. Actually, you know what, I don't want this to take the contacts styling, because the context page is set to 100 viewport heights, and I don't want that to happen, because when you try to add some more and more projects and you try to introduce a scroll bar on smaller screens, then it's going to introduce a kind of shaky feeling to your application, and I don't want that. Now for our projects page, we're going to do something different, because we're going to also create a data array. So right away I'm going to say this is going to be projects.js like so. Now for this project we're going to import UUID once again, so I'm going to say import v4 as UUID v4 from UUID, right? And then say export const projects, which is a named export. Set this to an array of objects. The ID, this is going to be UUID v4 like so, and then this is going to have a title, and the title is going to say project 1, for example. And then this once we have a title, we are also going to have a description that says something like something here. You know what, instead of something here, let me say lorem ipsum dolor sit amet consectetur adp sing elite. How many times would you have to use this in order to like cram it? Okay, and then once you have the description, we're going to have a GitHub link, right? Because we're going to be showcasing our project, so we want like potential employers to be able to look at our code. So I'm going to say HTTPS. I'm just going to place one link, because this is just going to be linking back to my GitHub. HTTPS, and I'm going to say GitHub github.com/sanctomas, like so. And then we're also going to have a demo link, right, for whether you have deployed your project, so you want people to click on it so that they can go and see the demo. So I'm going to say HTTPS. This is going to be just link my website like so. And then finally we're going to have an image. Now this image is what we are going to be grabbing right away from pexels.com. So we're going to go to Pexels, and then we're going to scout some images, and then we're going to save them. Okay, so this is going to be coming from /images, and it's going to be project-1.jpg. We're going to be grabbing random images, and then we're going to save them inside the public folder, and then inside an images folder in the public folder. Okay, so I'm going to create that folder called images, like so. Now this / might be confusing for a moment, because you would think that it would this / images, it kind of seems like it's relative to the data folder, but when you are doing this, it is actually relative to the public folder. I don't really understand why yet, but when I get to understand it some more, I'm also going to explain it. Okay, so we're going to do this for 6 projects. I'm going to copy this, I'm going to paste it 6 times, 5 more times. I'm going to say 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, change this to 5, this to 4, this to 3, and this to 2. Okay, and then change this to project 2, change this to project 3, change this to project 4, this to project wait 1 2 wait, what, are you serious? Okay, let me grab this from here. 2 3 4 5 and 6. So project 6, like so, and this is project 6.jpg. And then I'm going to save this. Now remember that when you're actually creating your own projects, you want to link the actual GitHub repository and the actual demo website that you've placed it inside. So but because this is just for showcasing, then I think this is just, it's okay if you want to do this as well. Now let's head over to pexels.com, and then I'm going to search for projects, like so. And then I want a square image, of course. Want a square image. Nothing good here. Let me search for design. Okay, so we have this. So I'm just going to grab some random images, and I'm going to say save image, right? Save image as, and I'm going to go to my desktop, and it's called portfolio. What's it called? It's called portfolio design. What is it? Inside here, go inside my public folder and inside my images, and this is going to be project-1, like so. Okay, and then this is going to be project 2, so save this as project 2. Now you might be wondering why I'm doing this. It's because I want to show you the kind of thinking that I normally use while building out projects, and I want to show you how I always get my structure, my data arrays, and use my images, right? Okay, so that's why I'm doing this with you as well. So this is going to be project-3, and then let's say this is going to be project-4, project-4, and then let's say this is going to, this microphone looks nice, so I'm going to say project-5. Okay, and then finally we can say something like project-6. Let's grab this, let's say project-6.jpg, like so. Okay, so now our data array is ready to work. Now what we need to do is now go into our projects page and import our data at the top, but remember we need to import use state first of all, because it's what's going to be controlling our state values. So I'm going to say use state. This is coming from React, and then I'm also going to import projects from data /data/projects, like so, and then set up my state values. I'm going to say const cards and set cards. This is going to be use state, and by default I'm going to pass in the projects that we have. And then now inside here I'm going to create a div with the class of cards, and then this div with the class of cards I'm going to map over my data just like we did with our menu links. So I'm going to say cards.map, And remember how I showed you to destructure? I just want to destructure them right away, and I want to destructure the ID, the title, the description, the GitHub link, the demo, and the image, like so, just like that. And then I can also set up my return immediately. Now instead of placing curly brackets, I'm placing what is called? I'm placing normal brackets. What are these called, by the way? These are curly brackets. They're just brackets or whatever brackets. So I'm just going to place in my brackets away, which means I'm calling the return immediately, so I don't have to add the return keyword. And then I'm going to return an article with the key of ID, like so. And then inside this article with the key of ID, I'm going to have an image. The source for this image is going to be my image, like so. And then for the alt, in case the image fails to load because of SEO, then I'm just going to return the title, like so. And then below this image, I'm going to have an H4 that says H4, really H4 that says the title, like so. And then below this H4, I'm going to have a paragraph that says desk, like that, which is the description. And then below this paragraph, I'm going to have a UL with 2 list items, so 2 of them, and these 2 list items are going to be buttons. Sorry, not buttons, but anchor tags, like so. And then the href for the first one is going to be GitHub, like so, GitHub, like so. And then the text is going to say GitHub. And then the href for the second one, because this is a link, then I'm going to say demo. That should be correct, demo, like so. And then I'm going to say demo, like that once again. And remember how I explained that when I want this to open on a new page, and I need to add the rel. So okay, so I want this to open on a new page, so I'm going to say target equals to underscore blank, right? And then I need to add the rel once again. Remember how I explained it? Rel is important so that you don't get cross-site scripting attacks. So I'm going to say no opener and no referrer. Always make sure that you spell those correctly. Okay, so let's save this, and on the projects page, then we should see this. Now notice how that we can't really scroll, right? And that's because, remember, in our index CSS, we went to the body somewhere and we said overflow hidden, right? Now because of overflow hidden, then it hides the scroll bar. Okay, it hides the scroll bar. But if you want to see the scroll bar, then you can just say overflow. You can just remove the overflow, or you can say overflow auto. And what overflow auto will do is that it will only introduce the scroll bar when there is a need to scroll. Okay, so let me just set it to auto for now, and then let me go into my projects. I can close this down, and then let me go into my index CSS, sorry. And then inside the index CSS, right at the bottom, before our contacts, I'm going to place a comment here that says projects. And then for this project, I'm going to say dot projects, like so, and set a background color, or rather background dash image, to the dash dash background image, like so that we have this and we can see this as well. And then let me target the projects H1, and I will say padding of 50 pixels on the top and bottom and 80 pixels on the left and right, that this moves inwards just like that. And then change the text color to white. Wait a minute, did I forgot something. Did I change the H1? Did I change this for media queries? I didn't change that, because on smaller screens, then this still moves inwards, as you can see. I don't want that to happen. So let me just confirm this by going into my Chrome debugger tools and checking for the Motorola Galaxy. Look at this. You see, I don't want this space to happen, so I need to change this as well. So let me go inside my, right around here, inside this media query. Let me target the contacts H1 and then also the projects H1, because it's the same thing. And then I'm going to say padding of 50 pixels on the top and bottom, and let's say 30 pixels on the left and right, just to reduce it right around there. Come on, is that not correct? Did I do that wrongly? Sometimes it takes a while to reload. I don't know why it does that, but it's really annoying sometimes. It actually really annoys me. Okay, so we have that. That's looking correct. That's looking amazing. Okay, and I've just noticed this. Now this is very important because it's a warning when you're developing, but when you try to deploy it, it turns into an error and it doesn't deploy your application. So in order to fix that, we can just go into projects.js, and because it's saying that we have declared this but we have not used it, in order to fix that, because we're not going to use this anywhere else, then we can just place a comment above this and say ESLint disable dash next dash line, which means that it is going to disable the warnings for this next line. So once I save this, then the project should disappear. Right now we only have the menu, so I'm going to copy this and go into my menu.js and paste it above here for these links. So save that, and now it should disappear everything so that we don't have any warnings on the screen. So that's looking much better. Okay, and then now what I want to do is go back into my projects right here, and then actually not into my project but inside my index CSS, and let's continue styling our projects. Okay, and for bigger screens, we're just going to begin styling it for bigger screens, where I'm going to go into my projects, so projects, and then go inside the cards class and say display grid, and then say grid template columns, grid dash template dash columns, columns, like so, and set this to repeat 3 times and 1 fractional column each, so that we're going to have this on the screen. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to limit all of this. So I'm going to say give this a max width of 1100 pixels, like so. And then just to center it back, I'm going to say margin of auto, like so. That's looking much better. And then I'm going to add a grid gap of 20 pixels all around to separate them out just a bit, so that we are going to have this, and this is looking amazing. I love it. Now the next thing that I want to do is right inside here, change the text color to white. So I'm just going to say here text color, change this to white, like so. And then now I can go inside this cards class and target the h4, so target the h4 like so. And then I'm going to say font size, set this to 24 pixels, just a bit bigger. And then say margin bottom, set this to 10 pixels. Right, actually, you know what, I want the margin on the top and bottom. So margin top, I want it to be 20 pixels, and then 0 on the left and right, and then 10 pixels on the bottom, like so. And then target the paragraph next. So I'm going to copy this, target the paragraph next, and I'm going to say font size, set this to 18 pixels. Is that correct? Did that reload? Okay, it did reload. Okay, that's fine. So 18 pixels. And then finally I want to go inside actually wait, I wanted to add a margin as well. So margin bottom, set this to 30 pixels. Why isn't this reloading? Oh, okay, you know what, this is the wrong targeting. Okay, so this is technically fine on bigger screens. And then finally for this UL, what I want to do is just grab this, target the UL like so, and I'm going to say display flex, align item center, and justify content to space between, like so, that this goes, they both go to the end. And then what I want to do is now grab this, right, and then target the list item, and then I want to target the first anchor tag. So I'm going to say a and first dash child. And then the reason why I'm doing this is because I want the GitHub link to have a different color, and then this one to also have a different color. So I'm going to set this to background dash color of 333, which is I think the GitHub color. There we go. Something is wrong. Okay, you know what I can do is I can just say a and then target the GitHub class, and this class I'm going to add it in. So I'm going to go back into my projects inside here, and then for this anchor tag, this first anchor tag, I'm going to give this a class name of GitHub, like so. And then for this second anchor tag, I'm going to give this a class name of demo, like so, so that when I target the anchor tag with the class of GitHub, then this should apply, like so. And then I'm going to say padding of let's say 5 pixels all around. Okay, 5 pixels all around looks good. And then let's say font size, reduce this to 15 pixels. Okay, that's actually looking nice, if I do say so myself. And then now let's target this demo one. So let me grab this, copy this, paste this here, and say the anchor tag with the class of demo, and it's just going to be this. So copy this, paste it inside here, only with a blue color. So which blue color do I want? Which blue color do I want right about there? Let me show you the hex value. This is the hex value, okay, and that should be fine. That should be fine. Okay, now actually, let me just make this a bit darker. Yeah, I think that is much better. Now, one thing that I've noticed is that probably this would work well if it has an icon before it. So let me go inside my projects right inside here. And what I want to do is render an icon called FA GitHub. FA GitHub, like so. Okay, and then for this second one, I'm going to render an icon called FA Video. How do I know all these icons? I've used them a lot. Okay, and this will break because I haven't imported them. So let me go back at the top right here before my data array. So I'm going to say import FA GitHub and FA Video. This is coming from react-icons /FA, so that we have these icons as well. Now what I need to do is just go inside the anchor tags. Is it? Let me see. Let me go inside this anchor tag, right? The anchor tag, so that I can display flex on them, so that this can just move down just a bit. So let's see if that is possible. I don't know whether that is possible, but we're going to find out in a moment. So I'm going to say display flex. Okay, and then I say align item center. Look at that, and say justify content to the center. Okay, and then I'm going to say wait a minute. Once we do that, then what I need to do is I want to go inside this first icon, the GitHub icon, and I want to add an inline style. So I'm going to say style equals to this. Is how you add styles in JSX. So you say style equals to, and you place 2 curly brackets opening and closing, and then I'm going to say margin right. This is now camel case. Set it to around 5, like so, and then just copy this. Just copy this from here, copy this, and just paste it inside here, which will separate this out as well. Look at that, looking amazing. Now what we need to do is, okay, first of all, I've noticed that I need to add some kind of leeway so that we can scroll a bit, so that we can see these buttons a bit better. And we can do that by just going inside the projects. Where's the projects? Inside here, right? Wait a minute, nope, inside this cards class, and then I can just say add a padding dash bottom of, let's say, 20 pixels, just to give it a bit more leeway while scrolling, as you can see. And then now we need to scale it downwards, right? So what you need to do is, all we're going to be doing is just changing this grid template columns to 2 and to 1. So I'm just going to copy this and then go over to around, I'm going to create another media query of 768 pixels. So I'm going to say at media and a max width of 768 pixels. Then I'm going to say paste this in, and then I want to change the grid template columns to repeat twice, repeat 2 and 1 fractional each. So let's see that. Look at that. Now they now repeat 2 and 1 fractional each, right? And I've just noticed something, that we constrained this to 1100 pixels, but we did not add some kind of leeway when we reached that 1100 pixels. So let me just add that leeway right around. I'm going to add another media query, and I'm going to say at media with a max width of 1100 pixels. Then I want the project's cards to have a padding of 0 on the top and bottom. Actually, wait, 0 on the top and 20 pixels on the left and right, and 20 pixels on the bottom. So that is just going to have a bit of leeway, as you can see, just a bit of leeway. Look at that, looking amazing, right? Okay, let me increase this width to around 1150, so that we have correct spacing. Okay, that's looking nice. Now what we need to do is, obviously, once we get to 768 pixels, because this now reduces like so, then once we get to 500 pixels, then we want to reduce this to 1. So I'm just going to copy this, and paste it right around here, and then just remove this and say one fractional, so that we're going to have this. Look at that. So now we have one fractional column for each, and I think that's looking nice. That's looking nice. You can do something more to it where you can add perhaps a background color on this so that this is more prominent, but I think this looks fine for me. And I'm trying to remember whether I forgot to add something else, but I can't really tell. I think this should be fine. The contact us page looks kind of bland, but I didn't want to add a form inside here because I don't want to deal with the React forms right now. I actually don't want it. So now, just so that you are able to access this code, I want to deploy this to GitHub. So I'm going to say github.com, and then I can now close my dev server like so, and then I'm going to create a new repository, and this is going to be called Thomas Sankar, or rather, you know what, developer dash portfolio. Do we have that? Okay, that's available. So I'm going to say create repository like so, and then I'm just going to copy this, and then I can close all these files down. Just close all of them, close this file structure, close this, close this, close this, close this, and then I'm going to say, because create React app automatically creates a git repository for us. So if I say git init, it will say reinitialized. Okay, and then I'm just going to say git add all and say git, okay, let it commit the changes, git commit. So git commit -m, and I'm going to say developer portfolio website complete, like so. And then you can say git remote add origin, and then paste in the link that you copied, which is the link to your repository if you're going to create a repository. And then you can say git, you'd want to do git branch -m and then main, capital M, if you're not on the main branch. But as you can see, I'm on the main branch, so this is still okay. And then I can say git push -u origin main, which is my branch. Okay, so once this pushes to GitHub like so, then I can reload this and we will be able to see my repository. Look at that, looking amazing. And then the next thing that I want to do is just commit this to push this to Netlify. So I'm going to head over to netlify.com. I can't even spell it. Netlify.com, like that, and then log in. And then once we log in, if you don't have an account with Netlify, it's going to prompt you to log in, so don't worry about that. So I'm going to say new site from Git and say GitHub, because that's where I committed my code. And then we're going to search for developer portfolio. Let's see, should be available right there. Okay, and then as you can see, the Netlify bots are very clever, so it can already tell that this is a React app, and it's going to run npm run build to build the application, and then it's going to publish the build directory. So I'm just going to say this deploy site, and that should deploy it. As it deploys, then I want to change the site name to developer dash, or rather, you know what, let me say developer dash portfolio. Let me see if that's taken. It's already taken, so let me just add my name at the front, tsb designs dash. There you go. And now once this deploys, then we'll be able to see our application. Okay, so let's see where the deploy is. Right here, it's building it. So let this finish building, and once that finishes deploying, then we can preview it right here, and we should see this. Look at that, look at that. I actually like this design. Looking amazing. We have our homepage, we have our projects page like so, and then we have our contact me page, looking very nice, very minimal, and the design is actually looking fantastic. Oh, you know what, I've remembered what I forgot. If I try to go to an error page here, notice that we get the Netlify default error page. I don't want that to happen, right? So what I'm going to do is I want to add a, actually no, let me actually show you another thing with Netlify, is that if I try to reload this, actually that doesn't work. If I go to the projects page and I try to reload this, notice that even though we are on a link that exists in our application, which is the projects page, right? The project page actually exists. Notice that if I try to reload, then we get an error page, but we don't want that to happen, right? So I'm going to create a new file inside here, inside our root, and it's going to be called netlify.toml, like so. And then inside here, we're just going to add 3 lines of follow, and we're going to start with 2 square brackets, and inside here, we're going to write redirects like that, and we're going to be redirecting from equals to /**, which means redirect from every other link. We are going to be redirecting it to /index.html, which is the entry point of our application, because as you can see here, we have a div with the ID of root, which we are accessing in our index.js right here, get element by ID root. So that is the entry point, and then we want to return a status of 200 so that it's no longer an error, and we are not going to be seeing this page anymore. So I'm going to say git push, and the good thing with this is that because we have connected the we should say git add all, then git commit and say add Netlify routing, and says git push. Now the good thing with this is that once I push this to GitHub, then the Netlify bots will automatically detect the change, and then they will redeploy the website. And that is very, very important because it is what is called continuous deployment, okay, and continuous integration. So you can just keep on adding features without having to take down your website and then build a new website and then deploy that new website, because you can just keep on doing it continuously and it looks amazing. And what that means is that notice how we have just pushed it right now, and it's already building the new thing, right? Add Netlify Routing, that is the commit message that we had. So this is really, really amazing, okay? It's really, really amazing. So let that finish building, and we can test out if everything is correct. It already finished. So we can preview this, and we can go into our projects page, for example. And if I try to reload it now, look at that. Now it no longer causes an error. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? It is amazing. I do say so myself. Okay. And I've just remembered something else, that I forgot to scale down this text for mobile screens. I forgot to scale it down so it looks insanely huge on mobile screens. And just so that I don't leave anything hanging, let me just do that right away. Inside my index CSS, I want to target the projects. Let me close this. I want to target the projects card and the paragraph. Is it this one? Should be this one. And then just go inside here, and then I want to say reduce the font size to 15 pixels, which should reduce it. But we can't really say it because this isn't our development server. And I'm going to say git add all, git commit -m, and I'm going to say reduce font size for small screens, like so. And I'm going to say git push, which will now push it once again, and it's going to redeploy it, and it looks very amazing. So I think that is going to be it now that I think we are finished with everything inside here. Well, oh, you know what, our error page, let me see if our error page is going to show up inside here. Our error page looks horrible, but it still works. But let me just bring it to the center, and I can go inside here. Where is my error page? Inside pages, error.js. Inside here, I want to return a section, really. Let me say a section with a class of error, like so. Paste it inside here, and then below this I'm going to add a link which is going to be linking back to our home page. So back to // like so. And then I'm going to say home page for the text, okay. And then let me add some inline styling for this. I'm going to say style, and this style is going to be background color. Set this to transparent. Also not transparent, but our green color. What is our green color? Our green color is this one. Let me change it to hex value. You just grab this and then change it back to HSL so that I don't have to commit it, like so, and then just paste it inside here. So for the background color, and then let me add a padding of 10, right? And then change the text color to white, like so. And then for this, what I want to do is just go inside here and I'm going to say add some inline styling once again, and I'm going to say display flex, like so, and then align items, set this to the center, and justify content, set this to the center as well, and then set the flex direction to column, like so. And this will now place it, this will now take it from here and place it to the center, and also add a button that says homepage. So let's do a final commit. So git add all, git commit -m, then we'll style error page, like so, and then I'm just going to say git push, and that's looking amazing. So once we have that, then I think we are officially done with this thing, and I want to close it down before I remember something else which I then have to correct. And thank you guys for watching. I think this was a really good project, and I've tried as much as I can to explain everything that I'm doing and to not assume anything. So I hope you really enjoyed the video, and if you did, give a thumbs up to the video and subscribe to the channel as well. It really helps me a lot, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.